All right, we should be good to go.
Okay. Do you want to share the slides, Kelsey?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. That would help.
Welcome everyone to our November MA Spotlight. Your vision, our support, get a grant and make a difference. We're going to just go over a few housekeeping items. So the next slide, please. We're just going to ask everybody to keep their microphones muted. There's no AI transcription that's allowed for the WEF events. The webinar is being recorded, and then we'll take questions at the end. And then there is a few upcoming WEF events. One of them, we do have a January MA Spotlight. I do not know why I want it to be February already. I guess I want the holidays to be over, but we'll just go from there. The agenda is going to go as followed. Next slide, please. We're hoping that the Carolyn from the Young Professionals Community Leadership Council, if she's on, we'll have her go first. And then we'll have the House of Delegates Budget Committee. Next will be the Atlantic Canada Water and Wastewater Association, then the Chesapeake Water Environment Association, and then we'll have the Q&A. So Carolyn, are you on the online? Doesn't sound like it. So we will go ahead and have Ellen from our budget.
She is on.
She is on? Okay. So Carolyn, we'll go ahead and have you go. So the next slide, Kelsey. And she can't unmute.
Oh, okay, here I am. I'm able to unmute now. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm going to go on camera too. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Can we advance to the next slide? Awesome. Okay, guys, so I am the chair and the representative today for the Students and Young Professionals. I am super excited to be here with you guys. So you can go to the next slide. So this is a little org chart of how our community is structured. It's a little outdated just because we now have Jack with us and Brad and Amma have moved on and up into greater things within WEF. But so we have our chairs, our second vice chair and our vice chair, as well as like an onboarding chair, a member engagement chair, and a member association outreach chair. So I'll try to go through this quickly because it's a lot. The onboarding chair basically helps people get orchestrated into our community and helps them kind of find their way. So once they join, they get a meeting or an email from our onboarding chair that kind of helps them make sure that they got our meetings on their calendar and that they can then be put into the according subcommittee that they would like to be involved with. The member engagement chair right now is mostly focused on getting WEF Unity up and running and having that be one of our big sources of truth where all of our information is stored. And then the MA or member association outreach chair, they are involved with having quarterly calls where they meet with all of the member association YPs. So if this is your first time hearing of it, make sure that your YP is engaged with that. It's a good knowledge sharing platform. And then within that, we've got a number of subcommittees. Most of them are WEF Tech related. So I will go into a little bit more about that and all the great events that we have at WEF Tech. And then there are a few that are associated within the YP Summit, like the Emerging Young Professional Leadership Workshop. And then we also have a member association leadership training as well. So we are joining that new this year at YP Summit. So again, if you're sending YPs to the YP Summit, make sure that they come a day early for all of that. In addition to all of our amazing subcommittees, we also have a number of other programs that we help to coordinate and put on. The Springboard, which is in conjunction with the winter meeting, the Fly-In down in DC. We also have a membership program. We are involved in the Stockholm Junior Water Prize, and we also help put on a career fair at WEFTech as well. Next slide. Oh, I didn't get into our steering committee and strategic leadership. They help us with short-term and long-term goals and planning as well. So in terms of WEFTech, so this was the 2024 schedule. I put that on because this year we tweaked it a little bit, but what you see here is what historically happens. So we start off with Waterpalooza and Jammin' for Water rehearsal. Then we have our service project and Jammin' for Water, and then student design competition and our workshop on Sunday. And then we close it out on Monday with our student chapters meeting, our YP meeting, the career fair, the mentorship meetup, the student reception, and our YP reception. Our YP reception is very well attended and it's a great recruiting opportunity as well. I know I'm kind of flying through this. Is there anything in particular you'd like me to, in this realm, slow down and maybe give a deeper dive on?
I think you're doing good.
Okay, all right, sounds great. So then next slide, please. I wanted to give you guys a little idea of how our meetings work. So we do have monthly meetings where we have a YP spotlight. So that's typically somebody who's newer to the community who will come and present a little bit on them. We typically have about 2 spotlights per meeting. And then we have our usual announcements talking about upcoming events, reminding of maybe some opportunities that are open for application and whatnot. We always have our subcommittees do a report out. Then we do a knowledge nugget, which often comes out of the student activities committee, something that the students are working on and kind of gives them an opportunity to present on a topic that they're working on so that they can have a little bit more exposure in presenting and being able to take questions and whatnot. And then we always have a topic of the month as well, which can be a variety of things. Sometimes we have subcommittees within the larger WEF group come in and talk to the YPs to kind of help recruit YPs into their programs as well. So if that's something you are interested in, please reach out to me. We are always looking for topics of the month. I think right now we're planning out for February and March. They are always the first Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Next slide. So I added this slide for a little fun, just to show you that one of the main things that you can really get out of the YPs, other than, all the amazing sub-communities and all those opportunities, is the networking and the friendships that you make. I think that this community that we have is a great feeder into all of the amazing things that you guys do. And thanks, Zach. And yeah, the love and the friendships and the bonds that people make here, I think then blossom into the rest of WEF. So I thought this was a fun little slide. And then next slide, please. How to join WEF Unity, of course. So sign up there. That's how you can get plugged in. You can see when all of our meetings are, add them to your calendar. That's where all of our announcements will be for other opportunities. So please join our calls or find us on WEF Unity. And then next slide. And then these are the chairs and vice chairs. So if you'd like to contact us, here are our emails. Feel free to reach out to us that way. And if you have any questions, I'd love to take them now.
So Carolyn does have to leave early. So if you do have questions for her, go ahead and put them in the Q&A section, or if we can have you unmute, we'll do that as well. So does anybody have any questions for Carolyn about the young professionals?
I will throw in the chat the welcome guide that WEF put together. Again, it's a slightly outdated. It needs to be updated just a tad, but it answers a ton of questions there that you guys might have. It goes a little deeper into all of the programs that we have and we put on in our subcommittees and what they do. And it has, so I pulled some pictures of that for our slides. It also has a bunch of acronyms and lingo that I think is very useful to YPs. So even if it might not be useful to you, I highly recommend that you forward it along to the YPs at your MA.
And we all need to know what those acronyms mean. There's so many of them in our world that we have to, have a guide for it. It's kind of crazy. I don't see any questions coming in for Carolyn. I just really appreciate Carolyn for coming and talking about the young professionals and the CLC. There's a lot of great things that the CLC does, and we just want to make sure people know about it. So thanks so much for joining us, Carolyn.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
We're going to go on to our next section, which is the House of Delegates Budget Committee. So if we go to the next slide and invite on Ellen to go over this part.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be talking to you about the Budget Committee. This is my second year on the committee, and I am currently the chair. I was vice chair last year. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. The Budget Committee's duties are as follows. We review the WEF budget to assure there's an alignment with strategic plan. We administer the MA grant program, which I'm going to talk about in greater detail today. Myself, the chair and vice chair, we participate also in WEF committees, the WEF Finance Committee, the WEF Audit Committee, and the House of Delegates Steering Committee. And it's interesting because we get to see exactly how WEF operates. What money comes in, what money comes out. It's really interesting. And if you're ever interested in learning more about how WEF operates, I suggest you volunteer for the Budget Committee. And then any other projects that come up. We didn't do anything special last year. The grant program was our biggest endeavor. Next slide, please. Maybe. Okay. And these are just the members of the committee. The House of Delegates speaker-elect, past speaker, they're invited. They don't always have to come, but Chris Hilditch, the WEF treasurer, and she's on the board of trustees, she is always present. Karen Powderly, who is the WEF CEO, is always at our meetings, and so is Peter McGuire, who's the WEF senior finance manager. He's new this year, so he's coming up to speed, but he does participate in our committee. Next slide. Okay, so the MA grant program, which is why I'm sure most of you are on. This has become a standard WEF budget item and has actually increased over the last few years from $100,000 a year to $125,000 a year. And we operate in 2 cycles. Round 1 applications will be due January 16th. And I think Kelsey, if it hasn't gone out already, I think Kelsey is planning to send something out in the very near future. Round 2 application due date, we haven't determined yet. It'll be sometime in June. And like I said, there's $125,000 available. And this past year, we gave out all but $3, I think, was how, I mean, we tried to get every little bit to the MAs that applied. Areas that are supported are, now, we say MA operations, but that's if you're doing something new. Your regular operations, we're not going to give you a grant for. But if you are developing some new training, or you want to send, like it says here, you want to send more, you want to send your YPs to WEFMAX or to WEFTech, things like that. We look at those, and those are the things that, we're hoping to see in the applications. Next slide. And of course, your grants should align with the strategic plan. Like I said, training, for example, to attract and develop a diverse and passionate water workforce. I'm not going to go through these because you should already know what our strategic plan is. But we have gotten such things as and I think it's on the next slide too. We got an application that wanted to purchase WEF manuals to help train their operators because they were developing a library and they wanted to expand it, things like that. So as long as it's along these lines, and it also is in alignment with your own strategic plan if your MA has a strategic plan. Next slide. And these are some of the things that got granted grants. I don't know, they got approved last year. Virginia, for example, was doing a video production. They wanted to talk about why it's good to be in the water industry, what type of jobs there are, how important they are, and they also offered to share their final product with all the MAs. There was a public affairs campaign. We had a couple of MAs, and I just see I have a typo here. A couple of MAs wanted to send more people to conferences. The membership, Tracy Storm is going to be talking about the membership engagement guide. That is something Chesapeake is putting forward because, we all have a bunch of members, but trying to get them to actually engage and participate in the MA isn't always easy. And so the membership engagement guide, again, it's going to be like what Virginia's doing with the video. We are hoping to share that with everybody, be a template if you want to develop your own engagement guide. And like I said, the last one, which was, I believe that was Alabama, that wanted to expand their library utilizing WEF publications. Next slide. Okay. To be successful, and please listen and jot this down because this is what's important. You need to align with WEF's strategic plan. You need to specifically answer the questions on the application form and be detailed. You can't have too much detail, really. You need to document how you came up with your budget, how you came up with your schedule, and how you're going to measure your results, because you are required to submit a report every quarter saying where you are. How much money have you spent? Where are you in the schedule? Are you close to being done or whatever? And even if you're not, just send that report in, because one of the things we did talk about last year in the budget committee was if you didn't submit like you were supposed to, that you submitted an application the following year for grant, you were not likely to get it because you didn't follow all the rules the first time. The other thing that we look favorably upon is if you can provide a match. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can be in-kind contributions. And we do understand that some MAs don't have big budgets, don't even have small budgets, and can't do that. But if there's a way to come up with a match, like, for example, we had a couple that were working with the AWWA version of their MA, and they would do things together. So things like that. That's really, really encouraged. And then demonstrate that the grant's supporting something new. Okay, we don't want to be covering your regular MA expenses, but anything new, whatever's going to enhance your operations, maybe, sending people to WEFTech will enhance your operations, because there's a lot of good information that's shared at WEFTech and WEFMAX. And then there is a small point bonus, and it's small, but it's there for smaller and medium MAs. So, that's something to consider. Don't think that just because you're a small MA that you're not going to be considered. We looked at everybody. We only had 5 applications last fall. We had 11, I believe, last spring, and everybody in the fall got, because there were only 5 of them, everybody got their grant. In the spring, because we had so many and we had less money, we had a little over $90,000. Not everybody qualified for grants, but it's, so I guess the other thing to think about is submit early. Submit early. I mean, we're not going to review anything before January 16th, but don't wait till the second round if you can avoid it. But, we take them all year, so Not a problem. Okay, next. Is that my last one? Oh, okay. And then the expectations, like I said, you got to carry out the project as you proposed. You got to provide the match. If you said you're going to have a match, you better be providing it and documenting that. Submit the required progress report, which they're really small. They're really short. We're not asking for, you know, a long drawn out thing. We just want to know how you're doing and that you're following your schedule, or if you're not following your schedule, why. Document your results, and then it's good to share your successful ideas with other MAs. So like I said, Chesapeake is going to be sharing their membership engagement guide with other MAs. Virginia offered to share their video with other MAs. So, you know, we've got things like that it'll also enhance communication between the MAs, which is a good thing. So that's all I have for today. I think that's my last slide.
It is.
Okay. Then, and I guess we're going to do questions at the end, right?
Yes. So if you have questions about applying for the grant, go ahead and put them in the Q&A section and we'll answer those after our next two presentations. So next up is the Atlantic Canada Water and Wastewater Association. And Dave is going to do that presentation for us. So go ahead, Dave.
Alrighty, this was supposed to be our executive director, Clara, but she had a little bit of a leak, her refrigerator leaks, and it's ruined her house, so she's been moved out until the February. So she's a little busy right now. Do you want to go to our first slide? Oh, they got my picture. Look at that. So anyways, we are a small MA. We have a joint section with the AWWA and WEF, with 550 AWWA members and about 110 WEF members. The next slide. Which, just as a recap, we've been fortunate to receive 3 MA grants. First one was 2019, then 2023, and then 2024. So like I said, we're very appreciative. The US dollars go a long way in Canada, you know, with the exchange rate. So like, you know, like an $18,000 grant is like $1 million Canadian. So the first grant that we did was entitled Develop Educational Manuals. So we created 4 educational courses. We hired a consultant to develop the manuals. So with the representative reviewing the manuals, and we agreed to match the funds. Our budget was in excess of $56,000 to generate these manuals. We used to purchase them from the British Columbia Water Wastewater Association, but we've felt it was better use of our money to develop our own. So the next slide. So we were awarded in March of 2019, and we received a grant of 18,000 US, which is worth between $20,000 and $25,000 Canadian. So that was a great help. The next slide. The second grant that we did was cybersecurity member database. So we were unfortunately wiped out twice with cyber attacks. It took all of our information, all of our records. Our computer system was damaged. We had to buy new computer software, replace our conference registration platform, created additional security measures, and then we also agreed to match the funds. So that was very difficult because all of the CEUs, PDAs, all of that information and all of the course attendance, everything was completely wiped. So we had to start over from scratch. Clara had to reach out to members to ask them if they had any information. So we had to try to rebuild our database. So then our budget for that was in excess of $25,000. If you want to go to the next slide. So in May of 2023, we received an $18,500 grant from WEF in US funds, which basically is about $25,000 with the exchange rate, which was great. Next slide. So the third one was YP attendance. at the YP Summit and at WEFMAX. So investing in our emerging leaders and young professionals was a great way to develop our future leadership within RMA. We agreed to match the funds. We had a young professional emerging leader did a presentation at the St. Petersburg WEFMAX. It was a great presentation. She is one of our leaders now. She's in charge of all of our technical papers, and she does all of the technical agenda for our annual conference. So they say it's a great investment. So we said that we would do matching. Our budget was $6,100. So the next slide. So WEF generously donated the matching amount of $6,135. So I think that was my last slide. I asked Clara if she could give me some high-level highlights that she wanted me to share with everyone. One of the things that's just to reiterate what Ellen was saying, the more details that you put in the application regarding the project, and also having a great quarterly report shows the progress. They're really not cumbersome. It's very simple. One of the tips she says is show how the MA will be investing, how you will do matching whenever possible. That we're not expecting a handout from WEF, is that we're just looking at helping, having help. And Claire also wanted to extend a huge shout out and support for these 3 grants. It really helped our MA significantly, where we're such a small MA, and then getting hit with these huge financial cyber attacks and whatnot was hard for us. So we just want to say thank you to WEF for supporting us for these 3 attempts that we've made. And that's that for me.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate that. Next up, we have Tracy from Chesapeake Water Environment Association. Go ahead, Tracy.
There, you want to go to the next slide? Oh, next slide. Oh, I have a few introductory slides. Go ahead to the next slide. So I guess what I based my slides on is how to not get stuck at the last minute, and making sure you have everything you need when you go to fill out the application. First, you want to identify your project, and then you want to check out the WEF strategic plan and find out which points of the strategic plan it lines up with, and make sure you take notes of that. You also want to, we have a strategic plan, so we want to make sure that it aligned with our strategic plan as well. And you want to take notes for that. You don't want to go to the application process unprepared. You want to make sure that you're fully prepared. You want to propose your project to your board so that you can get a vote of approval, because you will need a letter of approval from your board for the application, and you will not be able to do that at the last minute. So you want to make sure you have that ahead of time. And one thing I did not put on here was to identify a point person that's going to collect all the information and fill out the application, and not trying to figure out, who has what information. It's kind of like taking notes in a class. Make sure you have it all in one place when you're ready to do the application. You want to obtain your MA board support letter and have that on file. You want to, once you've identified your project, you want to make sure you collect all your necessary pricing, quotes, and details that go along with that, the steps you'll need to take to complete your project. You want to put together a plan to complete your project, including your expected goals and objectives. And you want to complete your grant application prior to the deadline, obviously. And I think I have what I'm going to say next is on the next slide. So go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so as I said before, you want to make sure you have your board support letter signed and available to upload with when you're ready to fill out the application. I'm repeating myself a little bit here. I apologize. You want to explain how the project relates to WEF strategic goals. You want to be sure you can access your grant application prior to the deadline. I had some issues getting signed in and getting the application to appear. So you want to make sure you have all those bugs figured out far enough in advance so that it doesn't put you past the deadline. Reporting requirements. You want to understand the project reporting requirements from WEF and how you will complete the reporting. For our MA engagement guide, our first step is just collecting all the pieces that need to go into the guide to send to Kelman. Will be printing our guide for us. So we had meetings with them to figure out what they needed from me and from the association so that they could help us design the guide. So we don't have anything tangible at this moment, but the first reporting period is on Friday. And so we'll be able to say, you know, we had our meeting, we collected, this is the information we need to collect for Kelman. This is what the next step will be. Let's see. Completing the application. Once you access it online, read through as much of the application as you can before you start filling anything out. I'm going to embarrass myself and admit something that I did, but I did not do that. And so when I did the first question, I put just about every piece of our information in that first box. And then I read to the next question. I was like, oh, wait, I already typed that in the first one. And then I go to the next one. It's like, I already typed that in the first one. So read through the application before you start filling it out so you know where your pieces need to go. And project funding, have a plan to supplement funding for your project in addition to the grant. This didn't affect us, but we didn't get the full amount that we asked for, which is okay. We were prepared for our membership engagement guide. We are prepared to get at least 1 or 2 sponsors to sponsor that guide with their logo in the guide to help supplement the funding to have that printed and designed and printed. And I think that's it. Do I have another slide? Oh. Just
Jump
questions.
in there since you mentioned not getting all the money. And that was one thing we did because we had so many applications last spring. We did decrease the amount of the award for some of the applicants just so we could give more people money. So, you know, you can submit and most of the time you will get what you've requested, but not always. So don't be surprised. We did check with the MAs when we did change those numbers and everybody was very appreciative of getting something anyway. So it was good.
Thank you, Tracy, for
Mhm.
that information of how to apply. I think it is you go to apply, because I applied for a grant for my MA, and you have to make sure you're prepared before you go in there. So that all those tips are very helpful. I did see a question in the chat, and I don't know if Olga saw any other ones, but it looks like Ellen already answered it. But I'm just going to state it out so everybody can see that. They just asked who can request the funds. Is it MA staff or individual members allowed? Ellen responded that it is the grants are for the MAs. So an individual can apply for it, but it's on the behalf of the MA. So there's not all member associations have paid staff. So Tracy is paid staff for her MA. Mine is in Utah, we don't have paid staff. So typically it's a member of the board that will apply for that grant. We've gotten a couple in the past. So just when you're going to apply for it, make sure that your board is on board with this process and that you have the support. Then there's a question, are there grants dedicated for student chapters? Ellen, do you have
I'm thinking, I don't think we haven't received any grant applications from student chapters, and I would have to go back and double check, but I don't think that they go to the student chapters. I think it's just MAs.
Yeah, this is Kelsey. I can jump in on that. And
Thanks,
yeah, that's
Kelsey.
correct. They're specifically for member associations.
There was the question, the talk about reports. So are there reminders sent out to the MAs when these reports are due, or do they need to remember? Like, what's the process for that?
There are not reminders sent out. However, on the grant reporting form, there is the 4 dates, the 4 due dates listed on the first page of the form. So what I would recommend is once that lands in your inbox, once you, and there Tracy's holding it up, thank you. Once that lands in your inbox, when you're notified that your MA has received the grant, I would just plug in little reminders or whatever works for you to get those grants submitted on a quarterly basis for the reporting forms.
I put mine on my calendar as a meeting or appointment, and did it like a few days before it was due. I stuck it on, like on yesterday, I had it on my calendar to get me thinking about it.
That's really good to know, because I know in the past it was kind of vague of when reports were due, and I know that WEF and the House of Delegates have changed some of that processes, so that's good to know. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but if anybody has like a program they've gotten funding for and wants to like give a little update about that, we're more than happy to hear those. For Utah, we have received 2 grants before. We did one for operator certification training. So we got some books that we were able to buy, and we were able to start doing a whole training seminar for operators to be able to pass that certification exams that are in our state. It was very helpful, and operators were participating, and we've even been more advanced with that as well. Then we also got another one for leadership training program. We started that about, I want to say it was 4 years ago. I could be off by a year. And that's been very successful. We've gotten one in our northern part of our state now, and our southern part of our state. So there's people are being trained of just those personal communication skills, how to like better ourselves and be able to do all those things. So if anybody else has any ideas, or you have an idea, you don't know if it would be funded, you can put that in the chat. You can reach out to Ellen as well. She is the chair of those grants that go out. So and then you can also reach out to Kelsey or Amy for any grant related questions as well. If there's no other questions, we'll give like another minute for anybody to put anything in the chat. So yeah, so there was some information in the chat about the student chapters. Steve put in there that if you have a student chapter, most likely they are part of your member association, and so they can get funding from your member association. It can be part of your that budget for that MA, so that they can get the funding for that. I know that's how my MA does it. I'm sure some other ones do the same thing. Let's see. Anything else anybody wants to put in the chat? If not, we're going to end this webinar early. Again, we just like to thank you for joining us today. We have our next one in January, and we would love you to join us. Well, there'll be information sent out. Does any of the presenters have anything they would like to add before we sign off?
I would like to add one thing, and because I'm the work group chair, I think this is appropriate. But for the MAs that are on, please encourage, if you've got your own SYPC program and you've got chairs, please encourage your chairs to get connected with the CLC committee or community, excuse me, because they do a lot of good things. We don't always keep up with everything they do, and there needs to be better communication between the MAs and the House of Delegates and the CLC. So I strongly encourage you to reach out to today's presenter and get your YP committees hooked up with them.
That's a good point, Ellen. Like all the committees, there's so many committees that we have in our own MAs, and there's corresponding ones with the CLC. Please have your chairs for those committees look and get involved so that they can have those backup presenters. Dave, do you have a comment?
Just with the format is different for this meeting than previous ones. And I see the numbers were a little bit lower than what I thought they might be. Is that something that's is a challenge? Do you think that process changed affected how many people attended these, or do you have any ideas on that?
We don't. We are looking at maybe some different topics, maybe some more ways to advertise. So keep tuned. Me, Kelsey, are meeting to discuss how we can make these a little bit more attended.
Well, you do have a fantastic
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah, I know. This was the story of my life. You did a great job advertising. I saw it on LinkedIn quite a few times. Thing was that a couple of the posts I was not able to share them, and I was wondering if you're able to have it shareable. I thought I could forward that to share that. We might get some more audience participation. But I did see a lot of ads to come out, and several people were advertising it, which was great.
I think we have to look at that for the LinkedIn thing. So I'll talk to Kelsey about that next week when we meet. So thanks.
That was great.
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you, Dave. Thank you, Tracy and Ellen and Carolyn for all
Thanks.
presenting. We really appreciate you for being here. And thank you for everybody that attended. We appreciate you being here as well. Other than that, you guys have a great holiday season and we will see you in January.
You
All right,
also.
take care, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.